All right. So, welcome, listeners. Thank you for coming back into the podcast. Today, we got a very special treat for you guys. We have more guests than usual today. We have about we have more than one for sure, but today we have eyes and ears coming in.
Hey.
Specifically, I'm gonna name drop you guys.
Hey,
we got Joshua Robinson,
hey,
starting from the left, and then we got QB Vibes, Quentin, and we got Lonnie, Lon Legend. They're familiar. They're definitely familiar faces around campus. Music and Strength. I forgot to drop it.
It's okay.
But yeah, guys, how you feeling? Say what's up to the people.
Yo, how y'all feeling?
Excited and tired.
Excited and tired.
Balance.
Yeah.
Balance of that.
Yeah, I'm full of energy.
Same.
But I'm sleepy.
Same, bro. Well, I'm not. I'm ready to move. I'm ready to work, man.
I'm ready to move.
This event motivated me to go to.
You're tired as all
I'm about to take a nap right after this.
Yeah.
Right. We're not gonna hear from him for the rest of the night.
But I mean, you guys deserve some rest after what happened this Saturday night. If for those of you that don't know, there was an event at the business building in this weekend. It went down, and it was eyes and ears. So today we're just gonna talk a little bit more about that. First off, well, how do you guys feel? How do you guys feel it went? Paint the picture for them. You know?
Hey. All right. Man, like in a short sense, how do I feel like it went? I feel like it went honestly absolutely amazing. I think it even exceeded our own expectations of what we wanted to gain from it. I think the energy level that was in the building was just so vast and so just huge that like people couldn't stay in their seat. And I think just that alone kind of like I feel like we could all just look back and be like, yeah, like we did something happened in this room.
And this could go to any of you, but what were your expectations coming into it?
For me, if I can ball.
Hey.
It's the talking ball. I honestly did not have expectations. I didn't want to limit it, but at the same time, it blew my mind. The students at La Sierra came and really just showed out. Like we had so much fun. Like we could not have done this without them at all. It was, my goodness, it was great.
Yeah.
We was excited, like just being able to like involve like the campus and just bring people together like in the same building
of all walks of life.
Yeah, of all walks of life, and just literally like just have fun. You know. I feel like, all right. I feel like it gave everybody the opportunity to just kind of like get something out, you know what I'm saying? Something that's like inside, you know, from the soul, like just be able to embrace music, embrace art, just have fun with a lot of the people who they may or may not have known, you know?
So how did this event come up? Like, what's the come up story?
Why are you laughing?
Who was
Josh, tell him about to come up.
Come on.
Tell him about to come up.
Talk to him.
So, we have a lot of different loves for art in our group. Everything from writing to music composition and just all sorts of art. We used to see our bro Jeremy. He's now across the country doing big things at Oakwood University, but before he left, he was our visual art guy. And there's something about just being able to see art right in front of you, and something about like paintings and stuff. And he really just put his soul into all of them. So whenever we would go and visit and see his gallery that he came up with, like that was part of the juice that like really like fed into eyes and ears. We'd be playing music all the time, and we could see all his new pieces. He had like at least a new piece or two every week. But anyway, we were sitting around, we were talking and joking, like, man, like what if we just threw a huge, awesome event here at La Sierra University that brought a lot of different cultures together, genre crossing, and people could really learn to appreciate each other's music in an awesome way. We have something like a Festival of Nations that happens every year, and we don't want to wait till that. We thought we could bring something to the table as well, and from a different angle, and that's exactly what was happening. So it went from a round table discussion, like laughing and joking, to actually a very serious process that got us to where we are.
I mean,
we're thankful.
In order for conversations like that to even happen, I could imagine each individual here is a creative, talented person. Let's kind of go down the line and talk about like what you guys do individually. I know Josh, first off, you got crazy skills on the guitar. You've been just all of in that, but there's that. It doesn't stop there. It goes into music production. It goes into we could go into business too. Business is an art form. It's martial arts. It's everything. I know that some people might not see how it connects, but it really does, and that just makes your personality. So I mean, is there anything specific that you kind of found going into making these events that kind of took something out of you?
Okay, so I like. So this is much bigger than me, but the diversity and the things that you mentioned that we all do. We all have a. If you ask us what we do, I know Lonnie's an amazing PR guy, and that's something that Lonnie's studying specifically.
Oh, we're gonna cover each and individual one of you because you guys have so much.
He trying to be humble. He trying to not talk about himself.
I need you to
answer the question. Here's why I say that though. Here's why I say that. There's a key word. There's a key word in the Eisner's movement, and it's Renaissance. And for you guys know, you pop up in the history books, you see Renaissance, and it means rebirth, right? But really, you see people who are like the Greeks, right? They were poets, actors, the same person, right? A musician. We don't want to limit ourselves. People say, "Oh, jack of all trades, master of none." I don't believe that. I believe whatever you put your mind to and you want to do, you can master it in your own way. It just comes with consistency and love for what you do. So with all these things, the diverse talents that we all bring to the table, and everyone who was in the building as well, who brought that energy, it's like it's a renaissance. We want people to be able to feel like they can learn and grow and express themselves and make life easier for themselves and everyone around them through something like this, a movement, Eisner's, that's not limited to any one art form, but is helping each of us to appreciate each other in a different way.
Q, did you feel? Well, first off, let's take a step back. We got Q on the keys. Man.
Q on the keys and Q on the management.
Q on the management, of course. Yeah. There is so much depth to this.
Keys and Q's and keys.
Keys and Q's and keys.
Oh, wow.
On the ones and twos.
Ones and twos, P's and Q's.
I mean,
K on the ones and twos.
Oh, man. Hey, but going into it, Q, did you feel kind of that same connotation where you kind of saw it as in a similar light to Josh in the Renaissance and putting your art out there? How did you kind of approach this?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I know for me personally, man, like, I grew up in an area where art was like the only thing most people really know.
Where did you grow up, by the way?
Compton, California. That's originally where I'm from. But like that was like the heart. Like, I don't know if anybody's ever been like Venice Beach. Like, there's art everywhere. You see people who dance. You see people who paint. You see people who sing, and people literally just come out and show their talent. And so being able to be raised in an area where that was like the motivator, it's cool to be able to go into like different parts of the world and just be able to see that as well. You know, like out in Riverside, like being out here for me is different. You know, because totally different switch. You know, from Compton to Riverside, totally different. But it was just awesome to see again like so many people who came from like all different walks of life. Just come together to the same stage in the same building and just show their artistic like format. Like, I would totally agree. Like, it's a renaissance. It's kind of like a game changer. It's something that brings people together, you know. And that's like the goal of Eisner's, like to push like art and soul into the world for everybody. You know what I mean?
Now you mentioned bringing in people from all types of walks of life, and on the other spectrum we got Lonnie, Lon Legend. We got the host, the comedian, the MC, just a man of energy and vibes. Now, can you kind of talk on a similar sense of approaching this event?
Me, Eyes and Ears, like, I was just like their friend that would just come over and like make jokes and just chill. You know, like, I didn't really do like much. Then all of a sudden, like you said, Jeremy was like big with the art, and I was like, oh, well, let me start, you know, using the camera taking pictures of it and, you know, like doing time-lapse videos.
Yeah.
And honestly, they were terrible. I was terrible at the videography, yo.
Hey, shout out.
But,
my God.
Yeah.
But, you know, like I felt like, you know, like a passion from that. Like, I felt motivated to like contribute, to do something because, like they've said, like, you know, like the school and the community and California in general is just like bursting with talent. I'm from Maryland, you know, like, and so coming out here, like, you know, just seeing like all the culture that's there, all we gotta do is bring it out, you know, to stimulate everyone's eyes and ears, and like, you know, so it's like whatever all of us, you know, people ask us sometimes like, what do we do? Like, what's our individual role? Like, who's this? Who's that?
Right.
We all just do whatever it takes to
Right.
get the job done. And
Because it's not a
band,
it's a brand.
Plug it up. All right. Now, going into kind of you guys starting the planning of the events and whatnot, and after having the idea, what were kind of the motivations behind going into executing?
Man, okay, so I remember it was like January, February of this year. And I remember we, you know, like he said, like kind of we used to talk about how we really wanted to put some, you know, bring something different to the campus and something like that and give something that people can enjoy and stuff like that. And so it's funny, like literally it was just something that clicked. And it kind of like the flame just like grew. Like it was kind of like one of those things where literally we woke up one day and was like, yo, we need to put on a concert. Like there needs to be a concert that happens. And literally in the month of February, we reached out to so many different artists that we had already prior to formed connections with outside and inside La Sierra, bringing the community to be involved with La Sierra as well. And combining those communities was something that was interesting to get going, but turned out to be so amazing.
Now, what was the process like building those connections?
Funny thing is, okay, so I'll specifically speak on for Crystal. Crystal Freeman was one of our artists that came, and she's absolutely amazing with her whole family. But what's funny is that literally I met her at a hospital.
Wow.
I was taking a friend to a doctor's appointment, just a regular thing. He just needed a ride, and so while I was there, she was there, and I overheard her singing, like humming, and it was a type of hum that I couldn't just sit in my seat. You know what I'm saying? Because I've heard music, but then there comes a point where you meet somebody and it's like, whoa, like you really got a talent. You know what I'm saying? And I just had to introduce myself, like, hey, you know, what do you do? Like, where do you sing at? Blah blah blah. And sure enough, like that's when she found out she does gigs and stuff. And so that connection kind of grew. Like we started seeing each other at different events, and it was just so happened that, you know, then he kind of got in contact with somebody who was in bands, and somehow those connections actually knew each other, and it kind of just all became like where now they're like friends, they're like homies, you know. I consider those like people, you know. So, you know, it was kind of like and even with all of us, like being able to meet these people in the past before, and it was just like, hey, now we can put on something to where all of us can be put in the same room. You know, even the same thing with Malcy. I only knew her through Instagram, never met her, just found her on Instagram. And I got to see her music, and it was something different. It was something that, you know, personally it was intriguing to me, you know. And so we were able to get in contact, and we had talked about, hey, let's jam sometime, you know, let's go to LA and let's do something, but we never got the chance to. So being able to really bring them out here was just really dope. So it was interesting making the contacts and making the connections, but honestly, like we had all the performers set like just in the month of February. So people were really hyped, people were excited about being able to come to La Sierra, you know, and just show their talent and things like that. So
now, how did you approach it in a way where kind of you guys all got familiar with each other? How was that process of crossing paths with these guests that you guys invited over?
So just to kind of like take a different angle on what he said, through these events. Well, okay, let's rewind. Before I saw this whole family event, I had played with different family members at different venues. So like one of the brothers, I played with him at Paris 5th Street Church, and he was playing drums. I didn't even know he played keys. The next event I saw him at, he was playing a totally different instrument. Then Andrew, I had seen him play at different places. And then fast forward, there was one particular event where the whole family was finally together. And I'm like, oh man, good to see you, and you. And then finally understood that, wow, this is a family. So just shout out to the power of family and working with those who are in your circle. We've learned a lot from just being able to work in our circle and work together. One thing I've seen with my people, sometimes we don't have the best approach with working together. But I think this has been a very powerful lesson in that when we do work together, when we put aside differences and focus on the beautiful things that bring us together, a lot more like beautiful things and really sustainable things can't happen that way. So that's been a huge learning experience for us and like a very emotional thing as well, honestly.
Well, what's an example of like of an outcome that kind of helped you, or what was the biggest takeaway that you could get from the success of the events, or I mean these successes of the events, because I know there's some positives and negatives that happened, but what were kind of like your takeaways from what went right?
For me, it's like we can't stop working. Like we can't stop making partnerships with people on campus, from people outside. We can't stop networking. Like there were so many people that, like artists and fans of those artists and people that want to like, go into performance in their own careers that got to meet, each other and network with each other and get each other's numbers and say, oh, I love what you do. I love your energy, this and that. And like, that's inspiring for me because it inspires other people. So like, we can't stop. I think that's the biggest like takeaway I had was like, this is just the beginning of Eyes and Ears,
Yeah.
Well, if you want to touch on where kind of your projected goals for Eyes and Ears for taking this brand.
I see it as, so like in this show, what we brought in this Renaissance experience the first time was music, dance, and art. We had a jeweler there, we had a dancer there, we had different spoken word artists, we had different genres of music, but it could be so much bigger. There's so many like people on this campus with talent that we just have not heard from. Like I'm thinking like short films, like we could do, plays on stage. We could do, we could have like chefs come and bring their food, like
eyes, ears,
tongue,
ears, you know what I mean?
stomach,
Every sense. It's growing.
Facts.
We're thinking big, and because we have a campus that is willing to support us. We got students here that are so excited to, to like be a part of Eyes and Ears and tongue and stomach.
Nose.
Toes.
All right. I mean, you do gotta...
No.
My bad.
Feet on the ground? No. Okay. That's all you... All right. That's abstract, but I like it.
Yeah.
It's art, man. It's art.
Well, talking about future plans, maybe we could take a step back into when you guys were in the process of putting everything together. What were kind of like the mistakes that you kind of learned from and that you will avoid next time?
Honestly, I'll say this. For one, it was just a really major like learning experience overall. I know like for me, at least when it comes to event management, luckily I've been blessed to have been able to watch some amazing events be put on directly under like some really dope people, people around LA. The church I was raised in, they always were putting on concerts and shows and things like that, and I got to see that live, and all the planning from it. But like from doing it, from a first time, there's always like little things you learn and little things that, are just like, I could have, built a better form of communication between everybody, or, I could have been a little more clear on certain points or things like that, and so it just gave the opportunity to sit back and look at everything and say, okay, what were some of the like main things that could have just made it go a little bit, saying? Just push that a little bit better, more professionally. But it definitely opened an opportunity for us to analyze like those specific things and, kind of implement those for, whenever we decide to do another event or something like that.
Now, because it was your first time, what was what excuse me, sorry. What was your drive? What kind of kept you motivated to get to the end?
Well, you said it in the way that you asked it. The fact that it was the first time. For us, this was we have a lot of people from a lot of different communities, a lot of different backgrounds coming. So that means if this wins or if it loses, a lot of people are going to know from a lot of different places. So we could not afford for this event to fail. And that's why a lot of planning was done in advance, making sure that we could really optimize our time. Really quick, shout out to the school, La Sierra School of Business, for letting us use that venue. Finding a venue in and of itself can be really hard, but they blessed us with the opportunity to be able to use that for no cost at all. Definitely. So stuff like that, having the resources available is definitely huge. And
And I think to add on to that, La Sierra, like we're bringing so many different people from Los Angeles, from like San Bernardino, like from so many different places. I mean, people flew in to this show to come see this show, and so they're coming to La Sierra University. So if we were to show La Sierra University as being mediocre by putting on a bad show, that doesn't look good for us or for the school, because at the end of the day, we go here. We pay a lot of money to go here, Shout out to my financial aid advisor, But yeah, and so it was important for there were a lot of reputations on the line.
Not just like this, right?
And with that being said, was there a lot of pressure put on you guys that you felt?
I would say absolutely, because again, like we're students, but we're getting ready to host an event in kind of one of a very upheld part of the campus, and with that in mind, like we have to make sure, and it's a blessing because with us, especially like Josh and I and Lonnie getting into it as well, like with us being a part of the ENACTUS team in the business building, it's given us that sense of being professional in everything we do and what we put out. I think that alone gave us pressure that we say, hey, you know what? We're putting this on, of course, under eyes and ears, but with ENACTUS, like being so closely involved and being able to sponsor this, we knew that, hey, like we wanted to make this something that's worthwhile for them too, that looks good for everybody. We're in a situation where everybody wins, so I think that was kind of like where the pressure was. Like we just wanted to make sure that we threw something that everybody in the building and everybody who got to see it on live stream could feel it somewhere in their hearts, you know what I'm saying, where some part of them could really just enjoy it.
And when you have a partnership, and that's what we consider this, like for us, the university, we're students here, like we have a partnership with them and we do have a responsibility to them. So in seeing, we're business students, we understand like in a good partnership, everyone knows their role and everyone is looking out for the other partner. And so that mutual communication, that mutual care for changing that, using that pressure as a positive thing to make sure that things are done correctly, we learned a lot in that way. So thankful, again, shout out to everyone involved, La Sierra University, everyone involved, in that category. Thank you. Shout out to our partners again.
Speaking of being in the La Sierra University campus and experiencing people coming out and participating in your event, what are some further opportunities for the culture here on our campus?
So let me touch on part of it, and then I'm gonna quickly promptly pass it to you.
No. Take your time.
It's been in a few publications. I don't know who knows, whoever's listening. La Sierra University is literally one of the most, has been the most diverse university in the nation. So we wanted to honor that. It's like you look on stage and you have a lot of different musicians from a lot of different cultural backgrounds, and we had everything, like, just to paint the picture, like we have an R&B set, right? But you have like the congas, you have the drums, the typical keyboard and guitar and all that stuff. But then you also had like cello and violin, and we were getting emotional even just in practice because one of the guys, John, like he was just saying like, man, he has a long list of music he has to learn for his events. And a lot of it's classical or like operatic, stuff like that. But so for him to do this, it was also an opportunity for him to say, I love soul and I can do it on my instrument. Like,
and he was a cellist, right?
He's an amazing cellist. Shout out to John.
Shout out to John.
Emily on
Shout
the
out
violin.
to Emily.
Good night.
Y'all
They
are
really
dope.
brought something different to the table, and even in just that one set, like there was diversity in that, and it was a
absolutely
beautiful thing.
Facts.
Q, you were gonna say something about culture.
Come on, tell us. Come on.
No.
What you gotta say?
Man.
What you gotta say?
Man, honestly, like, again, honestly, I don't even have much to say because Josh really covered it. But I'm thankful, especially here at La Sierra, because there really is a lot of culture. There's an event that I've been blessed to perform at several times, and it is the international, like, kind of like a banquet gala they do, and they do it over in the Alumni Center. And it's always so cool because they get literally as many different cultures, like, brought, whether it's through food, whether it's through performances, whether it's through outfits, you know, and just being able to see that, you recognize that you don't have to just bring one culture together. Like, if you really bring everybody together, everybody will find something that they enjoy about it. And I think we try to implement that same mentality with music and art. Like, for instance, shout outs to Summer. She was one of our, she actually had a booth at before the show, like the pre-show kind of, and she creates her own jewelry. And even in her jewelry, you can see that there's different cultures that's implemented in her work and in her art and in her pieces. And just being able to see that, like, was just, like, cool, you know, it was dope, it was awesome to see everybody bringing their culture all under the same, like, boat, kind of.
Now, there's many different clubs and organizations in La Sierra. What's a piece of advice you would give them if they were trying to put on an event at this scale?
I have a little piece, so I think we have a little piece.
I got 2 words.
2 words?
Just 2 words. Work together. That's it. Honestly, let me just say this, because you know, it's one thing that we did is that as a team, we held each other accountable. We were very honest with each other. We opened up to each other, and we decided to not be any type of selfish or anything in how we operated this. Like, this is solely a squad. And I think as a school and as a campus, we can accomplish so much if we, like, as a team, you know, because when you bring different people together who all just do so much, like, there's so many people who are photographers, lawyers, business people, music, you know, so much that's here. And I think working together could just make just nothing but amazement in the lives of people, not just in La Sierra, but around the community as well. People want to see La Sierra. They want to see, because we're a part of a community. We're a part of Riverside, California, you know, and I know that there's people who want to see this school, you know, just build into something and grow more as a part of the community that's here.
Hey, Josh, you were going to say a couple words?
So La Sierra University, again, extremely diverse. Extremely diverse, and then with that, unity and diversity. If by every event that we do, if we can show that unity and diversity, I think that is doing a great service to our community. And then with that, with any event or any organization, no matter what, you could have the best content in the world, but if you don't market it correctly, which I'm just like, let's not even call it marketing. Let's just call it tell everyone you know with as much time as you have and every opportunity you get. If you can do that, and then so more people know about that unity and diversity, that our community can really learn from that. That's it for me.
Just one thing, I want to say that ideas alone are dead. Like, they mean nothing. I know so many people that have great ideas that say, I want to do this, this, and this. That would be dope. But they don't execute. They don't execute. Without action, it's dead. And so we turned our ideas. Every idea we had, we turned it into action. We said, how can we get this done? But we didn't just stop there. We went and did it. We opened doors. We networked with everybody we knew. Like, these artists, like, none of them got paid for this.
A singer from The Voice, season 13. Again, shout out to the Freeman family. Janice Freeman, Team Miley, season 13 of The Voice. Like, the only way, like, we could possibly pull that off is through respecting our own craft. And then when we have the opportunity to play gigs with these people and they see that we respect our craft, then they're willing to work with us. But otherwise, it's like, if we don't act on ideas, if we don't act on being consistent and practicing with what we do and taking what we do seriously, holding each other accountable, none of that stuff will be able to happen. That was a miracle, man.
Right.
Well, just to kind of wrap things up, final question for each one of you. Through this experience, what was kind of something that made you better?
Oh man, I think I learned a lot about the potential I have. I like to see myself as like a sponge. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Cool. Can I say that? Like
That means you
y'all
usually
expect-
dirty.
Yeah, like a sponge. Like a.
I like to see myself.
You know, wipes.
I feel you though, Lonnie. Yeah.
No, we're scratching that.
I got it.
I am a bucket. I'm a bucket.
Now we put dirty water. No, play. Go ahead.
I am a I don't got nothing else. But look,
Okay, it's all right.
what I was going to say about myself is just that like I like to see myself push my limits and try new things. Hosting an event was something I never imagined myself doing, but I just went out and tried it. And I would say like my advice to everybody is just go out on a limb sometimes and just say, hey, you know, because honestly I did it. I enjoyed it. I loved it. I was in a zone like. My sole focus was making sure that the energy was high at all times, and from what I heard, like it paid off. And all I can think of is now, like, how can I get better? How can I do this better? But like, just like that's what I learned. I learned that like whatever I put my mind to, because I definitely did work a lot on that. And so whatever I put my mind to, whatever we put our minds to together, whatever the school puts their minds to, whatever anybody in life puts their minds to, they can do it. I know it's cliche, but it's really possible.
Yeah.
It's very, very possible. It's at our fingertips.
It's cliche, but it's so true. Yeah.
Q, any takeaways that made you better?
Almost dropped it. Mercy. Man, I would say absolutely. I think from kind of, I guess, holding the position of being the manager kind of guy. Again, like taking certain things I could have done better, and like you said, like hearing and seeing the reactions of people literally actually brought like water to my eyes. Because when you've been putting in like so whatever, when you've been putting in like so much work, and you just, another thing that was dope is that it was like a buildup of energy. Like as we portrayed the vision that we had to all these students and things like that, people just became so hype about it. We'd walk in the student center and people yell out eyes and ears because they were excited about the fact that we were excited about what we were doing. And from my position as being manager, I recognize that that's also one thing that plays a part in leading people, is getting them excited about what you're doing. You know, when we had a production meeting, if I had presented in the way of, all right guys, let's do this and blah 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 and things like that and blah blah blah, you know what I'm saying, and nobody would have really been like, okay, like, yeah, we're ready to do this. But when you bring something with excitement and with plan and organized, like you're showing them, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to have fun, and we're going to make it quality too, you know? When you really put your heart and soul into it, you know, it just became something that I learned from, and I really, now I'm, like you said, like I want to see how can I do better, you know what I'm saying? How can I make the next event even smoother for all of us as a whole, you know?
Josh, you want to touch on that?
Communication, and for those of you listening, like Q painted an amazing picture just now, and if you're thinking in a macrocosmic level, like people around campus getting excited, but first, before that can happen, it has to happen on a microcosmic level, or internal marketing. We had to market to each other. Just seeing how excited they were and how much work they were putting in made me want to go even harder. And it really is a contagious thing. So again, shout outs to everyone involved. Shout outs to my crew right here, because a lot of times it's like, oh, we have class, we have this other stuff we have to do. It's like we're students too. It's but they didn't let that get in the way, and seeing that inspired me to, you know, not let that be an excuse or anything else be an excuse. So a strong team, you grow internally, and each and every one of you has to live, you know, your belief in what you're doing.
Live and breathe it.
And when everyone else sees that, then they'll start to as well. You can't expect it if you don't do it yourself.
Now pass me this ball real quick before we get out of here. Who is the DJ for that Eyes and Ears event?
Aaron K.
This guy right here.
Don't sleep on.
And Spotify.
Not only is he on the mic, but he on the turntables too. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate it, guys.
You know what I'm
Appreciate
saying?
it.
He rocked the house, man. This could not have been done without him. We thank you so much.
Yeah,
You know,
Aaron
you're very
K.
humble.
SoundCloud, Spotify.
Yeah. Check
All
him out.
that.
High quality production.
Well, guys, I just wanted to say that you guys changed the dynamics here on campus, and I feel like that experience was like game changing. and I mean that from my heart. And congratulations to each and every one of you guys for putting that work in and seeing it come to fruition.